So what's your thought of the free-to-play, pay-to-play, purchase-to-play?
In regards to Tesso, or?
Yeah. Like, what do you think it's going to be?
I don't know. I think, I mean, they're going into the MMO world, so it's kind of hard to say, but the way they used to do it, at least on Xbox, you buy the game and you just buy the content, but everything else is free, but that's how most single-player games are. But a game as big as that, they might do a sub thing, and then maybe do something sort of like SWTOR, where if you're a sub, you get a shitload of more stuff. If you're free to play, you're restricted to what you can and can't do.
I hope if they do free to play, if they do free to play like any of the other games, they do have the sub option, or at least maybe start with a pay to play, something where you can experience the full game at first, and then after you've been through so much, you can dial down and play a little more a la carte type of style. But at least if they do start free to play, they have some kind of sub option just to make things simpler for the person that wants to spend all the time to experience everything and not have to worry about the microtransactions and just be able to do the standard monthly subscription.
Yeah, like I think, I definitely think it's good. I can't even say I think, because I'm tossed between two options. I think they're gonna go either pay to play for the first little bit, and then they're gonna go free to play afterwards. Only reason I say that is because they're a new company developing not a new company, but they're stepping into the MMO world, not knowing what they're gonna see, right? Like, I mean, it's a brand new type of MMO. There's no combat system like this. But I also think there's going to be microtransactions, such as like Guild Wars has the black market, Star Wars has the cartel, Diablo 3 has the real money auction house.
Well,
so
also, I mean, with at least Elder Scrolls, they have a huge following, dating back years and years and years. I mean, you got Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, list goes on. So you've got that entire fan base where they're playing an RPG, and the majority of them probably play an MMO. So they would probably be okay with doing free to pay to play, which I'm okay with. I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan, and if they want to charge me $15 a month to enjoy a game, I'll play it and pay it.
Yeah, let's face the fact. I mean, we're all nerds. We've all played these games. We've all had subscriptions. You know, your average or even above average people that are coming into this game for the first time are not casual gamers. I feel strong enough to say that near 100%. And for that sake, I think that it's a very strong case that they're going to go subbing. But on top of that, as far as microtransactions are concerned, I mean, they have such lore already built. I mean, they're vanity items, whether it be pets or mounts or whatever it may be. I mean, they have the capability for limitless things out of the box, and I think that's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of lore, there's so much lore to build on going back years. I mean, this game is based 1,000 years before Skyrim. The amount of lore in the Elder Scrolls is intensive. I mean, you've got the Dark Brotherhood, the Thieves Guild, the werewolves, the vampires. I mean, you've got so much shit to build on. It's ridiculous.
And that's actually something I really want to talk about later, too, is I'm going to be very interested to see, and just as a side note, we'll go back to what we were talking about, how being a member of the different open world guilds is going to affect really everything. Because it's not like a faction in WoW where everyone's good. You know, okay, you want to be friends with everyone because everyone's good. And you're talking about the Dark Brotherhood, the Thieves Guild, things that affect how cities and citizens respond to you, and how that can affect your real-world gameplay with everybody else, I think will be interesting.
Yeah, but I think they'll do something similar to like they did in Skyrim, because you can join the Dark Brotherhood, the Thieves Guild, and the I forget the name of the other one, where you become a werewolf.
Oh gosh, starts with a C. I should know this.
Well,
I'll
from what
remember in
I've
2
read,
seconds.
only 2 guilds are going to be at release.
From what I remember reading the same thing, Thieves Guild was later, correct? And Dark Brotherhood was later, I believe. But I could be wrong.
Well, I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed in Skyrim the Dark Brotherhood questline, and I'm definitely going to join that if that's an option.
I probably won't be joining. I more enjoyed killing everyone in the Dark Brotherhood. I enjoyed the opposite questline.
Oh, I really enjoyed doing the Dark Brotherhood questline. It was so much fun.
So, what do you say about the combat system then? Without ignoring the guilds and the brotherhoods, what about the combat system? So, let's go back and talk about the synergy system.
Synergy system will be nice. It's going to bring a lot of interactive, not only cooperative, but just very interactive gameplay into an MMO that I think hasn't seen that before. I have never seen it, at least. So I'm really excited to see how that works together.
Oh, I'm looking at some of the stuff I've watched. I'm very excited to see it because it's very Skyrim based as far as targeting goes. You don't just click on something and all your stuff shoots at it. You have to actually aim at stuff to get it to hit your target, which I'm very, very intrigued by, and I'd love to see how that works.
I mean, if one thing it's going to do, it's going to get rid of the dead world to me when you're talking about these MMOs. I mean, no matter what MMO it is, there's always been instances where you come into a situation where somebody runs through World Fire, they get caught up in anything, or you're casting fireballs in around explosive equipment, and you're just living in a dead world that's not interacting with that, and the synergy system is going to allow that to be so much more interesting.
Yeah, like there's a video I like to see where if a rogue throws down tar, which slows the enemy down, but if you have a fire mage behind you, they can ignite it, which I think is kind of cool.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Gonna have some hot tar to throw over the keeps for the PvP. That could be very fun.
Yeah, I definitely foresee like boiling oil, and then if you have a mage or something, just ignite the whole thing. Which, I'm kind of curious and wonder if that would be a bad thing. That might burn the doors down.
And I hope they bring destructible environments into it. I have not seen anything on that. Have you?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, they're bringing that in.
One of the things they are doing is, if you are doing siege warfare onto, say, a keep, you can take down the doors, you can take down the walls, whatever you want. If you destroy the doors or the walls in order to get in, when you take the keep, and now just so you know, to take the keep, there's a bunch of little points you actually have to capture. So you actually have to go in, take the courtyard, like the big courtyard first, claim that, and then to go in to take the inner courtyard. So think of it as a first-person shooter combat system, like an objective system. So there's a bunch of little objectives. You stand by the flag, you capture it, you control that flag. But once you take the keep, those walls stay destroyed. You actually have to have those walls repaired. So the destruction you cause, you have to fix.
Also,
and actually, I did read that.
Some classes will be able to wall climb.
Really?
There was a post. Yeah, there was a post about that. Someone asked. I believe it was on Tamriel's Foundry. I think asked that question. In Dark Age, you used to be able to climb the walls, like the Shadow Blades and the other little stealthers. I can't remember their name right now. Had the ability to climb the walls, and they said at the moment that's not in the game, but should they ever put it in, or if they put it in, or when they put it in, it's available to everybody. Again, because they want to make sure everybody has the ability to see every part of the game. But in order to get it, you actually have to spend your alliance points, which again is a really cool feature. I mean, if I want to stealth and go into a keep, all I have to do is spend my points.
I like the, going back a little bit, I like the fact that when you do take the keep, that it's not immediately yours, and that it's not just an amount of time. You have to work to rebuild it. It's adding a lot of interesting PvE aspects to a great PvE system that just keeps everyone busy.
Mm-hmm. And someone on Tamriel Foundry, I do believe, asked the question, will crafting meld with PvP items or PvP siege warfare? They said yes. So crafting will actually you'll be able to put different types of ammo onto like a trebuchet, like a burning bolt or a pot of oil or whatever, onto different types of weapons. So that's a kind of cool feature.
Well, I wonder if playing along with that, if they'll allow crafting to help and assist in repair, like maybe a blacksmith or some sort of creation class or crafter like that will be able to help build a wall quicker or do something to assist in some kind of reproduction much faster than somebody that doesn't have that skill.
In Dark Age, that used to. I do know in one of the videos they were talking about they want to make sure people's combat experience is constant. So after you take the keep, after you do all your claiming of the little sections and you own it, they want to make sure that you're not just stuck there going, okay, hold on guys, I need to do some maintenance or whatever. So I think you'll be able to just tell the guards, hey, this is what I want you guys to do. Go ahead and do it as you gather resources. Again, very similar to what Guild Wars 2 has for their World versus World. You have these Doliacs that bring supply into your keep. After so much supply, it starts repairing your walls or whatever you've told them to. But they did do the exact same thing as Dark Age did with their New Frontiers expansion. Is after you take the keep, you own it, a guild can claim it, and guild member or non-guild member, they actually have the ability to walk around the keep, and there's like little hook sets, little things that you can put there, so you can actually go up to them and say, okay, I want a range guard here, I want a mage guard here, I want some form of trebuchet or some form of siege warfare here. And you can kind of plan out your defenses, which is kind of cool.
But who makes that decision? I mean, who one person is going to be in control of that? I mean, you're going to have a lot of people fighting over that system, so I mean, how does
first
that
come,
work
first
before?
serve, basically.
Okay.
It's going to cost money, obviously, or some form of currency in order to do it. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to be first come, first serve. They haven't confirmed it, but that's probably what it's going to be because they said anybody can do it, guild member or non-guild member.
Now, are keeps confirmed guild owned once taken?
Yes. A guild can own it, and if you are not in Cyrodiil, your guild window will get notified if a guard dies. Again, exact same thing Dark Age had. If a guard dies, it'll say a guard at this keep has been killed by one enemy force in the area, or 50 enemy forces in the area. So you'll know ahead of time before just running up there and going, I'm going to kill the one guy, and be like, oh crap, it's like 400 people.
I wonder if they're going to have any kind of quick travel system that you can use to get to your own keeps.
There is going to be a quick travel system. I was doing some reading on it. It's going to work based off of what keeps you have and other little things that you have. And one of the things they did is say one of your small outposts gets broken, your entire, what do you call it? Fast travel setup gets broken.
Yeah, so you say, for example, you own 3 keeps in a row and you own the supply. That's your supply route. That's the route your supplies are basically going to go. You can travel between those 3 keeps, but say the middle keep goes, you lose the travel to that far keep because it's no longer tied. So again, think of it as World of Warcraft's old school fly points. If you had a fly point off in the middle of nowhere, if you had nothing connected to it, you can't get to it.
Makes sense.
And they did confirm mounts. There is going to be mounts, which is, again, a cool feature.
Yes, I saw, but no dragon mounts.
No. I don't foresee dragon mounts for a long time, though.
No, yeah, I mean they pretty much. I remember a developer saying in a video, "This is not an era of dragons. There really won't be dragons in the game yet."
Even flying mounts. In all honesty, I hope they don't introduce flying mounts strictly based on the fact that flying mounts ruin the game. I mean, you lose so much content, and it makes the world seem so much smaller. The fact that you can go over, like, think of World of Warcraft vanilla, and think of how big those zones were. Like, just running from Elwyn Forest to Red Ridge, it was a decent little run. You were like, oh wow, I really wish I was 40. I could have a friggin' mount. But now you have a flying mount. It takes like what, 2 seconds? The world does not seem nearly as big, and it gets you away from exploring.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I haven't seen anything as far as flying mounts was concerned. It was just, I think that's probably everyone's first thought as far as this game is concerned with dragons, especially with Skyrim.
Yeah,
just being out. Everyone wants to fly a dragon.
Oh, come on, who doesn't? I mean, it's a freaking dragon.
And it looks better than any other dragon.
Dragons are pretty badass.
Well, I mean, you haven't played Skyrim far enough to see those dragons, have you yet?
Legitly, no.
Oh, the dragons in Skyrim they're beautifully designed.
Yeah, I need to sit down and actually go through that game. I'm probably going to do it either this week or next week. But that kind of brings me to, that doesn't really bring me, but another question is the God Complex. I mean, every single player RPG, the story is designed around your character. And
all right, Kurt, hold on.
We're actually playing a very good game to base this off of. Star Wars, The Old Republic. The entire storyline is based off of your character. Your character is essentially God. What you do saves the galaxy. I mean, come on. There's no other definition other than the God Complex in this game. And for the end game, I mean, they just cut it off. It's just a horrible, horrible, horrible design. There's no story. Your story just ends. What do you do? Like that was probably the biggest complaint for people, was the fact that this game has such a great story development and it just stops. What happens? What are they going to do with Elder Scrolls Online? I mean, again, it's a company that is phenomenal with doing story development, in-depth detail. I mean, how many books are in that game? Like, what happens at 50? Like, are they going to be able to keep the game as social and multiplayer as an MMO should be, but also keep that aspect that is Elder Scrolls?
All right, hold that thought. Did you see my message? You have to leave the planet, go to your ship, and travel to another planet.
Well, that's a lot of work. All right, but answer my question.
I think the biggest problem with SWTOR's hero complex for me was specifically endgame content. When it came down, it wasn't a very good transition to, you are the greatest, you're the best person in the world, but now go find a bunch of friends to do this next task. It wasn't a very good transition into being the greatest to being one of 8 or one of 16 or whatever it may be. So, I mean, without ever having a Elder Scrolls game be online, that's a very hard question to answer. It's very hard to say how they're going to bring that into other players, because that's your big difference between being a hero in a multiplayer game and being a hero in a single-player game, obviously. I do expect great things out of them, and I mean, one way they keep it going in their single players is downloadable content. So I guess the best thing to say is we'll see how quick additional content will come in the online game.
Well, I mean, I agree. I didn't really like the transition from the story to endgame, but at the same time, there's, at least on the Republic side, there's 4 different storylines you have to take into account when you switch into endgame. How do you incorporate all those storylines with the way that endgame works here with all the cutscenes or whatnot? How would you incorporate that into endgame? And how would, same thing with Elder Scrolls, if with all the different factions and classes there are, how do you incorporate their personal story into an endgame raiding environment without making one not canon.
See, the issue I think they went wrong with is the fact that every campaign, every character's story ends. What they should have done, and this is just my opinion, and I really hope Elder Scrolls actually does it this way, is your entire storyline can be done alone. You can do it solo, you can do it with a party member, it's up to you. The final boss should not have been soloable. It should have been a raid boss. I mean, that is the iconic figure that you are seeing from level 1 all the way up through to level 50. And I know in Elder Scrolls, they already said basically how each zone's going to start, like how your character's going to start. So you're already introduced to the final boss of the game right off the bat. And I really hope that he's not soloable.
Well, I disagree with your point on the story ends. I mean, yeah, in Star Wars there were 3 chapters, and we're kind of at a standstill right now, but at the loading screen it always says it's an interlude, and they're looking to include more story. But I agree that the final boss, especially for the Jedi Knight, who was the Emperor, should not have been soloable. It should have been a raid boss, because the Emperor is supposed to be the strongest Sith ever, so he should have definitely been a raid boss that should have came out before the next expansion or something like that. And if they're gonna do that in Elder Scrolls, that would be great. I'd love to see something like that where they actually encompass the story into endgame raiding, where everybody's final boss is some type of raid boss in some type of raid somewhere, or even a flashpoint.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that would be great. Yeah, maybe a flashpoint or a small group dungeon, more or less, than a raid, because they're not going to want to limit what few or what casual players they do have from being able to complete a major story. I think raids do still have to be their own story in a sense, just because you're really screwing over some possible, good customers as far as that's concerned, that just won't be able to finish their stories.
Well, yeah, I can see that. Making it like a heroic flashpoint or something like that would encompass the epicness of a good storyline. I mean, let's take my own story in SWTOR, for example, the Emperor. When I was fighting him, it was hard as hell by myself. I needed someone else to help me to finish it the first time I played it. But I think that should have been a 4-man heroic hard mode to do. You have to get 4 people to go kill him. I mean, it is the Emperor, for God's sakes. But I mean, doing it as a raid, like Glandict said, would most likely kill, because not everybody has the time or patience to go through a raid. So doing like a flashpoint that would take a good hour or 2 would probably be the best idea. As far as ending a storyline, or at least a major storyline. So like they create a story with 3 or 4 chapters, kind of like SWTOR did. The final boss of that storyline before the expansion should be a boss in a hard mode.
See, I agree with you in a sense. I think out of all the games I've played, or all the games Clarion Call has played, is the fact that WoW has done such a phenomenal job with their story development on endgame figures. Like in original Wrath, or in original WoW, it was Onyxia and Ragnaros. In Burning Crusade, who was the iconic figure? It was Illidan. Illidan was the main figure, and that was the one that was promoted. That was the one that was through every quest line. They talked about it. Wrath came out. What did they talk about? It was the Lich King. He was the final boss. I mean, they always make these epic tales of these characters, and that's where I think Star Wars went so wrong. Is
right?
You level up with such an epic tale, and then you find out, okay, this is wow. There's always a twist at the end too. You're like, wow, that's really what happened. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, okay, now it's over. Whereas with WoW, they always made the end of the game essentially the final boss, right? And that's I think where a lot of people gravitate to, is the fact that, okay, now it's over. The next expansion's coming out. It's a whole new storyline, but everything still seems to tie together. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hoping Elder Scrolls does. It keeps everything tied together. But the storyline themselves, it needs to be epic. I mean, SWTOR's raid, that they don't tie to anything. There's nothing that ties SOA, KP, EC, any of those to anything you have seen in this game. World of Warcraft, everything you do evolves around the final guy. In Elder Scrolls, I sure hope everything you do evolves around that final guy.
Yeah, but in WoW, you don't have... I mean, each class has its own class quest lines and stuff, but the majority of the story, there isn't a specific storyline for the warrior or a specific storyline for the shaman. All the quest lines throughout everything is the same, except for your specific class quests. In SWTOR, you have 3 chapters of story specific to your class, and that's the majority of what you're doing. How do you encompass 4 specific storylines, 8 storylines, which are all different and have different outcomes based on the decisions you make? How do you encompass that into endgame? I mean,
easy.
I think they should have incorporated it, but I don't think it's that easy to encompass all 8 storylines to make sense in endgame.
No, you're right. You cannot. Well, you could, but you cannot incorporate 8 separate storylines to the exact same endgame. But what they could have done is finished the storyline at, say, level 45 or 40. The last remaining levels are your intro quests to SOA, to Karaga, to EC, like Kefis. Those are your intro quests. They explain who they are. They explain what's going on, why they're doing these things, where did they come from. You have that development. You have that attachment to them. So they could have did that.
And just to reiterate, we are talking a lot about Star Wars, but it's just our opinions on the storylines and how we hope things will come in Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, like I don't want to see my biggest worry for PvE storyline is what happened with Star Wars is what I don't want to see. I don't want to hit 50, or yeah, it's 50 in Elder Scrolls as well, I think. I don't want to hit 50 and then just have the story stop. I think there needs to be more. So if they end the character progression earlier and then start building the endgame progression story, that way you have that attachment and you understand what's happening. So that's what I want to see in Elder Scrolls.
Or what they should do, they should encompass a bit of SWTOR and WoW together. They should incorporate the specific class stories, but in those stories, encompass the endgame. Introduce this villain, introduce that villain, but they're not the primary parts of the quest. During your class quest, they're side stuff. You're in Cyrodiil, and they're mentioning this guy, and you go to Skyrim and they mention this dragon, and there's a little quest line to introduce them, and as you get higher up in level and you have to do attunements, which I hope they bring in, which would be awesome, you learn more about it, but they encompass it into the storyline, so it's not, okay, your story stops at 40, boom, here you go, here's the introduction. Everything works together. You do your class line, and while you're doing your class line, you're going to learn the history of the endgame bosses. You're going to learn about them, so when it does come time for endgame, you've been playing with them from the start. So it encompasses both the epic storyline, class-specific storylines of SWTOR, which everyone will agree are amazing, and then also everyone will agree is amazing the endgame storylines in WoW.
Well, from the information that we know, I will honestly, in my 100% opinion, I feel that we're going to see storylines more akin to what we're used to out of like World of Warcraft. And the reason I say that is from what they said about you being the hero and everything, and their opinion on classes. I mean, the fact is the developers, they don't like classes. They've developed classes just for the fact of, you know, you need a healer, you need a tank, or you need this, or you need that for your dungeon specifically, but they don't want classes. So I based on what they're saying, I don't expect to see any two people having different quest options. I think everyone's going to be playing the same quest chain. They're going to be playing the same hero story. So with that information, I think we will be playing quest line or storytelling more similar to WoW. Now, I'm not saying they've already said that they're not doing this the spoken chain or whatever they called it quest style that WoW does. Definitely styling is different, spoken wheel. But as far as your story leading into endgame content, I think is going to be much more like WoW's.
Well, see, also here's the thing. If I'm not mistaken, the people who are making Teso already stated that, yes, while the storylines are going to be similar and there's no classes, which is great, everyone is going to have the same, each person has the ability, so you can wear heavy armor and be a healer, or wear heavy armor and use a bow, or wear heavy armor and be a mage, or wear light armor and be a tank, but you make decisions based off of your storyline. So everyone's storyline, while similar, also different because of what choices you make, and not, I don't think two people are going to make the exact same choices throughout their storyline.
True. No, you're right about that. You're very true about that. I just think as far as everyone's going to be given the same choices, I don't think that you're going to have different choices in different areas on different things based on what class you chose.
Yeah, like from what I've read and what I've watched and understood is there is no copy and pasting between quests. So all three factions will have separate quote unquote quests, but they all lead to the exact same thing. I mean, your soul has been stolen, and your objective is to go get it. Like that's the premise of your storyline. Sorry, spoiler.
Shame.
So, yeah, shame. Each faction just has different quests on how to get there. Like, it's all based on the surroundings, right? And obviously all the side quests and everything will be completely different because, again, they're all based off their surroundings. So, I agree that, like what Glandict said, is they're going to be very linear. Like, what options I'm given on AD, Gland's going to get the same options. Maybe at a different section, but he'll get the exact same options. So we'll end up at the same spot, no matter what. I think.
Well, yeah. You have to end up at the same spot, especially for endgame. Otherwise, they'd have to create 3 completely different versions of endgame, right? So you're gonna get to the same spot. It's just how you get there. And to answer your question, you go to your map, and you go to like the top left-hand corner spot, and there's a ship out there you got to get to. It's this area where Ilum is. But so the storylines are going to be different, but but you're still going to get to the same spot at the end, because if otherwise they'd have to create 3 completely separate endgames.
Well, I mean, not to keep beating a dead horse, but I mean, essentially that's what Star Wars did. They all ended in different spots. It's just the end game had nothing to do with the rest of the story. So yeah, they're definitely going to all end in the same spot, considering we all come to the same story in the end in Elder Scrolls.
I had a few more questions. I'm just trying to find them.
One thing I hope, I mean, if you ever want to just, make comparisons to how Skyrim or Oblivion or Morrowind played out and what we want to see the same or what we want to see different in the games, I mean, one thing I will put in is, though I doubt they would do crafting the same as they did in Skyrim, but I hope they change it just because the way a blacksmith had to use 10 different tools to accomplish one task was a major pain in the ass.
Yeah,
and I hope they don't do that again. That was annoying, especially considering the NPCs could be using it, and then you got to kick them off, which just takes an unnecessary 10 seconds out of your time.
Well, as far as that goes, it looks like they're using an improved engine of Skyrim, which is really cool. The graphics in Skyrim were just beautiful. I love the fact that you get to explore the entire continent, not just Skyrim or Oblivion or anything like that. I mean, the game itself just looks amazing, and I can't fucking wait.
Do you remember any of your other questions, Kurth?
No, but I want to talk about the. Me and you actually talked about this the other day. Was the fact that a mage using a two-handed sword, but in previous games, like Skyrim, for example, you had a spell in one hand, a spell in the other hand. Where's the weapon going to be taken? Like I don't. That's going to be an interesting how how you're going to play that out. How do you think they're going to play it out?
My Skyrim character, I was half mage, half warrior. So I did one-handed sword with a spell in the other hand. So my left hand was either a fire spell, an ice spell, a healing spell, or whatever I needed. And my right hand was a sword. Now I would occasionally switch it up to a bow for when I was upgrading my sneak and stuff like that. But that's how I think that would work. But a mage two-handed weapon, they'd have to probably switch back and forth between the two, I think.
Well, since they did actually make the comment specifically about a mage with a two-handed weapon, I mean, that was their specific words and what they wanted people to be able to try to play with. I honestly half expect them to go back to a style a little more similar to Oblivion, as far as gameplay is concerned, where you had different key mappings to one or two spells, and then you still had your standard clicking for weapon attacks. But we'll have to see. I mean, if they want to use a two-hand, I mean, they have to do something different from Skyrim, because using a two-hand weapon with Skyrim's gameplay meant no spells. What class do you think you'll be playing with at first, or what type of character do you want to play on your first tune, Girth?
Mine'll probably be like a ranger, scouty bow type.
I'm not sure what I'm gonna play just yet.
I'm pretty set. I'll be making a tank. One thing I've thought about, though, they haven't led anything into it. You know, they talk about how they want you to play your class your way, and they talk about mages with two hands, and healers, and plate or chainmail and all of that, which is great. But I mean, are there any so far? There haven't been talks based on, let's say, someone wanting to play a tank with a two-hand, or an evasion type tank with swords and two swords and leather, or anything like that. I'd be interested to hear if they have any interest in changing how the tanking aspect is concerned. I mean, other than the gameplay and your the way you attack differently, are they going to allow you to not be your standard run-of-the-mill plate tank?
I can't comment on that. In one of the combat videos, they were discussing having warriors. Well, I don't know if they said warriors, but the warrior type class, having like 8 of them in a row, all running in with their shields up and stuff like that. So I have a feeling it's going to be your standard stereotypical tank.
Right, which I have no problem with, and I expect, but I think it would be interesting to see that we'll mix it up. I mean, I know other MMOs have tested with it, kind of like Star Wars with the your Jedi Consular tank being a light armor wearer, but I expect them to go standard as well, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see a mage in heavy armor, which, in all honesty, I don't see a point to it.
Less squishy. What's the point
Less
of heavy
squishy,
armor
definitely less
anytime?
squishy. Which I guess could be beneficial in PvP. That's probably where you'll see a lot of it, because, I mean, when else are they really going to be getting hit? Now, in previous games, I don't know if this question could really be answered because there was no real multiplayer to it. Was there aggro? Did they have an aggro table?
Oh yeah, there was definitely aggro.
Did you have a taunt?
There was no taunt. I mean, the aggro was strictly damage based, from what I could tell. It's very hard to tell with healing aspects in a single player game. You could have companions in Skyrim, and there was definitely aggro between you and your companion based off of just damage done, but I didn't see any aggro from healing, so it'll be... I'm sure we'll see some taunts. I mean, you're gonna have to see some taunts in the MMO. But yeah, it was just strictly damage based before.
Well, I hope that's not the case in the future, because, I mean, I'm sure a mage will outdamage any tank. Well, ideally.
Or everyone's just tanks.
Or everyone's just tanks, like Guild Wars.
Yeah, but if everyone's just tanks, I don't like that idea. There's got to be some type of aggro system that's gonna make so if you specialize as a tank, you're excel in that, and if I specialize as a DPS, that's what I'll specialize in. And then you should have taunts and stuff like that to be able to make it do what you do and stuff like that.
I just hope that with going with the standard system, I hope their taunt system works just like their new fighting style is going to be. I don't want to be able to just taunt endlessly on a raid boss. I want to, maybe my shield best has the increased threat, and I still have to balance my stamina out. Or if I run out of my stamina, not only can I not do my damage, not keep my blocks up, but I can't even keep aggro. I think that'll be the best form. That's what I hope to see out of it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, because there's not very many MMOs where you have a tank that actually has to monitor its resources. I mean, WoW has your rage tank where 9 times out of 10 you got too much rage and you just have to dump it anyways. There's no resources sort of like a mana tank, like where you actually have to monitor your resources.
I mean, they tried to do that with the Paladin, but then they just made mana pointless.
Yeah. And again, there's like the Death Knight where you have to manage your runes, but again, they just turned out to be pointless.
I think it'll also be good for their sakes, to have so many classes use the same resource system. I mean, that's one thing I can't stand about WoW resources. Like, every time a new class comes out, oh, it's a new resource, the playstyle's different. It's like, no, you just took this class and mixed it with this class, added a half of this class, and topped it with a cherry. It's, everyone's using the same with this, and I think that is actually a good thing this time. Your playstyle is your playstyle, and you just got to conserve your resources how you want to.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's all the questions I had. Do you guys have anything? Anything you want to talk about? Anything you foresee ESO doing? Or what you want to see them do?
Well, I mean, I want them to just make essentially Skyrim and Elder Scrolls Online with just what they need to for the MMO aspect of it. And that's what it looks like they're doing, and I'm excited.
Do you guys have do you foresee any specific timelines or anything like that? Like on how you think they're going to release everything? Like, I have my own timeline that I'm thinking they're going to do in my head, but it'd be interesting to see what you guys think.
Well,
like, when do you think closed beta is going to start?
I'm hoping by, like, say, March.
I think that would be good. I mean, I would be surprised if we're looking at anything but a holiday release. I mean, just because it's gonna get a lot of hype. I'm excited to see some really nice trailers and commercials online and everywhere else. And I mean, give them a good 6 months ish, get the game out by November, and that's the timeline I'm crossing my fingers for.
Yeah, my timeline I got built up in my head is I think mid-January to mid-February they're gonna do closed beta. The average closed beta usually goes about 6 to 8 months, so I think it's gonna go to about June. In June, there's E3. E3, they're going to release some form of epic news, which is either going to be the release date or some sort of new content that they have built up. And then I have a pretty strong feeling the release is going to be like November-ish, sort of like for a holiday kind of thing.
One thing is nice is they've never been very secretive, like overly secretive, I should say, of Elder Scrolls stuff in the past. So I think we should be lucky and excited to see really a lot of great information coming out from this for this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're secretive. They're just slow. And again, I would be too. I mean, I got this game that everybody really wants to play. I'm just going to be like, here's a little bit of information. Here's a little bit. Yeah, I toy with the fan base. And I mean, ESO probably has one of the biggest and most dedicated fan base. I mean, you go to any fan website, you can see some serious role-playing. Like, ridiculously well-done role-playing.
Actually brings up another topic I'd like to dabble in a little bit. What are your guys' views on role-playing? I mean, we've never done really any role-playing before in any of our games. Are you either of you interested in switching it up?
Go ahead.
I'd be interested, but I would want to first maybe give it a shot in a different game, say like SWTOR, since that's a game we all play. Actually role-play our character, to get a feel for it before we try that in TESO.
My thing is, I've done some. I've done at least your standard character sheet style roleplay games with friends and things like that. Your Dungeons and Dragons. I did a Star Wars one with some friends, very very long time ago. I'm a very casual role player when it comes to that, so I'm the guy that is breaking out of character quite often. So I definitely would be interested, but I'm very casual when it comes to that.
This is why I said we should give it a try. I've never actually done the whole I'm this character, I'm gonna play exactly as this character, talking in context only and stuff like that. So, like I said, that's something that I think we should try in maybe SWTOR, since there's a bunch of different classes and stuff like that. And we can then, we play based off of what class we have. So, like me and Kurth, we're both Jedi, so we'd have to roleplay as Jedi, and you'd have to roleplay as a Trooper, or whatever other class you wanted to play, to get the feel for it before we took that in the TESO. Just so, you know, we see how it is and see if we actually like it before we say, okay, let's try it.
I'm definitely for role-playing. I'm not gonna start going lightning bolt every time I fire a freaking rock or something. Like, I'm a member of if you go to the Elder Scrolls Online forums, TESOF online.com, if you go there and read some of the role-playing stuff that these people have for like their character bios, it is so in-depth. That's what's got me very intrigued about it. Is I've actually sat here and thought, what can I write about my character? I started writing stuff, but it sucks. And it like I said, it's definitely something that does intrigue me. Where to start with it, I have no idea.
And even
that's
myself,
probably my biggest concern.
Even myself, I mean, with playing through all the games and having a decent idea of all the lore in the games, that would be very difficult for myself to do as well. I mean, I would hate to create a bio that to find out halfway through playing through online that has nothing to do with the lore or completely inaccurate with lore would just piss me off so much.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I said, I definitely want to try doing some of the role playing that they do offer. Just because I want to see that side of the game, not really the game, but that aspect of playing a game full of so much lore. But yeah, you guys need to check out that website. Like it's insane. Like I've never seen. It's like reading a book in some of them. Like it's just ridiculous. Like, out of everybody, I think Greg would love that aspect of it the most. The writer in him, I think, would have a field day.
He would be giddy. He'd be absolutely giddy. I'll have him write my bio.
That's what I thought about too.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
And on a side note, maybe they should put some of what we're experiencing now into